Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the 19th, man. The new stuff. All right. Origin 1 was last night. And if you're a Queenslander, you probably didn't get much sleep because New South Wales put on a record score, 50 points to 6. They thumped the Queensland Maroons after they whinged by cheating and having it up at Townsville. The Tommy Turbo, Latrell Mitchell, and the rest of the Blues brothers came out to thump them. And we're going to talk about it. Now, if you want the footy opinions from the ex-players, then go watch Fox League. We're not that. We just love it. And, people at RSL, shout out to them. They had us again last night. That's a couple Origins in a row there. We've watched it now. Those were the Blue Burgers. Before, if you follow me on Instagram, quick plug, follow me on Instagram as well as like this video and subscribe if you enjoy. But tell me with the review, I could have gotten one of those bloody YouTube rugby league. Donny's been said, I've gotten you one of the OGs. You would have seen him if you've been around the channel for a while. His name is Hezza. His actual name is Henry. Henry, how are you, mate?
Oh, I'm pretty good, mate, especially after last night. Can't complain. Bloody blinding victory.
Well, 50 points to 6. We had a pretty good time. I know Queenslanders didn't. Initial thoughts on the game? Just first reaction.
It started out the first 10 minutes. It was quite competitive, and you noted last night at the RSL. As soon as Welsh went off for HIA, the momentum completely changed. We were beating them in the forwards pretty convincingly. Tommy Turbo doing his thing. Cleary had a pretty good game, but Latrell Mitchell also had a very, very good game, playing like old Mitchell at the Roosters. And the initial thoughts, I expected it to be a lot closer, but can't complain. 50 to 6. I think that's New South Wales' biggest victory over Queensland, so it's pretty impressive, especially in Queensland. Where we have where before this game we had a 32% win rate there, so couldn't be happier really.
Very interesting to see how New South Wales will respond because game 2's at Suncorp. And I know everyone's already the media spun it that Freddie never won in Queensland. But now they're just going to spin their Freddie's never won at Suncorp. So hopefully they don't push our agenda too much because then Queensland fans will have a bit of PTSD. But look, New South Wales is not going to be any negatives, so we'll just get straight into the positives for them. Standout players, we'll pretty much just go through the team. James Tedesco, he had a blinder for me. Josh Adokar kept a bit quiet because Tommy was hogging his stuff. Latrell and Turbo were both the best on ground for me. Cleary as well. He had a freakish game. Watching it back, Luai's impact would be understated because he had a freakish game.
Yeah, he had a couple of pretty good runs, especially in the lead up to Tom's second try where he passed on the inside to Mitchell and then Mitchell passed to Tom. Yeah, he was pretty good. Tarek Sims was also very, very good.
I was going to mention that, but just quickly on Luai. He set up to, I know people won't see it, but the fact he sets it up, he passes it to Tom, who does the try assist for Latrell. People won't see that because Luai pretty much just gives Turbo all the space in the world. But basically, I'm going to back the New South Wales forward pack. I think many people won't give them the credit because no one gives big boys credit. But they completely dominated Queensland last night, and they got dominated in Game 3 last year, I think it's fair to say. So they probably had a really big point to prove. But yeah, who are your top 3 on ground, I guess?
I'd say Tommy would be my first. Close second would be Mitchell. And third, I'd put it on Tarek Sims. Considering he even mentioned during the Blues camp, I'm pretty sure it was him. He was surprised to get a call up from Freddie. And
he was surprised to get a call up from Freddie. But look, New South Wales are bloody brilliant. I got the order a bit wrong here, but we might as well touch on it. Tarek Sims, a lot of people had question marks around coming into this series. New South Wales do have the luxury. We get Angus Crichton. He comes back. Also, Tyson Frizzell, he'll be available. Ryan Pappenhausen, he comes available. Victor Radley, I think, is still out, but we have so many options now for Game 2. What do you make any changes if you're Freddie, and what changes would you make?
Honestly, I mean, you can't really make any. No one was bad, to be honest. 50 to 6, and usually you stick with a winning formula. If I was to make one change, because I reckon it will be a lot closer when we take him at Suncorp, I would probably put Nico Hines at utility for Jack Wyden. Not saying he was bad, but he didn't really. I don't know. I think that Nico Hines has a bigger impact as a utility. and Jack
You would
White.
put Ryan Pappenhausen there if he came back?
Nah.
Considering everyone's talking about him being 14?
Nah. I just like what I'm seeing from Nico Hines at the moment.
I think you're just a biased, salty Manly fan who's just up that T-Baz let him go, to be perfectly honest. Gosford boys, shout to the Gosford boys.
Honestly, I'm not. I mean, you want to keep every good player, but Tommy.
Well, you just said Tommy. We're going to go into Tommy now. Tom Trbojevic. Now, he's come back. He's carved it up for Manly. Had a quiet game against Newcastle, but that's because he was packed and probably already had pre-drinks for Origin camp bonding session. But, yeah, I'm just going to ask quite simply. Everyone's talking about Cleary. Tom comes out, makes even Origin look like under 10s footy, like he's been doing at club level. He made Parramatta look like a bunch of bums. He exposed the Titans. He exposed pretty much every team Manly have played. He even played well against Penrith. Is he, without a doubt, on form, the best player in the world?
Oh. I'd have to say Cleary is still the best player because he's impacted the Panthers. I mean, Tommy has a bigger impact on Manly, but I don't know. It's hard to say. I think it's neck and neck, but I would just have Cleary over Tom at the moment. But if Tommy continues to play like this, considering he's come off from another hamstring injury where he was out for 2 months, he missed the first 4 rounds. He came out. That game against the Titans was insane. That was his first game back, I'm pretty sure. So if he continues like this, yes. But the only issue is that Knights game. He just sort of fell off. Against a small club, Manly had a pretty fully fit team. The Knights were without their best players. If that was Cleary, he would have iced it.
Yeah, well, I'll put this to you. If Tommy could keep up this form, and let's say he's played, 6, 7, 8 games back now, including Origin. He's had one stinker every other time he picks up Dally M points. If he can keep that sort of pace up, I know we're biased fuck, but are Manly a smoky for the premiership if Turbo can carry them with the form he has right now?
Yeah, of course they are. Like, we were just about to break into the 4 almost. We could have if we on the brink of it if we beat the Knights, which unfortunately we didn't. But yeah, definitely a smoky because he it's not only him that's playing well. He's confident. He just brings so much confidence to the rest of the team. Like you can see Jason Saab, he's become one of the prime wingers in the competition this year after the last 4 rounds because he wasn't very good in the first 4 rounds. Cherry Evans, his game control is just elevated with Tom in the team. Jakey's playing better again. Sean Kepi, he's having a very good season. Marty DePau, he had a bit of a stinker to start the season, and he's starting to get his form back. Josh Schuster, that combination, Tom Trbojevic and Josh Schuster, I mean, it is insane. But yeah, I definitely a smoky, in my opinion.
No, good to see you pretty much just name that whole Manly team there just to remind everyone who's in it because I think they're all stinky to start the year. But we've talked good enough about how well Tommy Turbo and the friends went because he maybe wants to carry the Blues. No, I got to give props to Latrell Mitchell. Shout out to those undies, by the way. But we're going to move on to some Queensland bashing because, they do it to us. They did it for us 8 years in a row. Granted, we were like bloody 2. But I'll get straight into it. What went wrong for Queensland? Now, it's going to be a broad question, but what was their biggest problem, really? Where did they just lose it?
I think having Kurt Capewell at centre was not a smart idea. Tommy pretty much ran around him, apart from that poor defence where he jammed in, and Kurt Capewell pretty much just went straight to that hole and scored off of it. I think Tommy just ran the show there. Cleary as well. Tom and Cleary just destroyed that side. Even on the other edge, Dan Gagai, who was usually a beast in Origin, was just completely just destroyed by Mitchell. Didn't have anything. I think the only time I really noticed his involvement was at the very end, and that was when Isaiah Yeo saved a try, and then also Toto, who got under it. But yeah, I don't know. I think all over the park they were pretty disappointing. Their game management wasn't very good either, so that also comes down to DC, unfortunately, who I love. He wasn't very good. Munster, pretty average. Their forwards were shit, to put it bluntly. I think, yeah, if I was a Queenslander, I wouldn't be happy with anyone's performance, to be honest. And that's really it.
I think they obviously, as a member of playing absolutely no rep footy at any level, I think that the biggest problem was the forwards. I think the forwards got absolutely manhandled, and it's hard to play off the back of it if you're a Harry Grant DCE, even Cameron Munster, who can create something from nothing. But like you said, they're big name players. Munster, he went missing besides wanting to kick Liam Martin in the head. Dane Gagai, he went nowhere. Xavier Coates did one high jump and still couldn't score the try. I mean, look, if you win majority of individual matchups, you're not going to win this game. And I don't think Queensland even won one individual matchup. Like you said at the beginning, as soon as Christian Welch went off, they were gone. Look, I think he was the best forward in the game. Because those first 10 minutes, we were sitting there watching it, perplexed at how fast it was. It was incredible. It was.
I was worried.
It proved how good the 60-game rule can be. But then in that same game, we saw how bad the 60-game rule can be with the blowout score. But yeah, Christian Welch, hopefully he's back for game 2. But I can't think of one individual battle where Queensland actually won, can you?
Not at all. I think New South Wales, every single player completely just rolled their respective player. Well, not respective, their opposite number. It was just an annihilation. Like the scoreline, it says it all. 50-6. They had pretty much, and it's not like they didn't have their chances. Like they still had the ball. Like it's just, as you mentioned before, they just could not build up. They just couldn't build any momentum. Their forward pack, it was pretty much not useless, but it didn't really do anything for them. I think the New South Wales forward pack completely shut them down defensively. The whole team did really. And then offensively, we just steamrolled them through the middle. Yeah, I mean, there's not really too much to say about individual performances for Queensland apart from they weren't up to scratch.
Well, on that basis, I think we will have to see changes. Obviously, Queensland will get Ponga back. Besides that, I can't. Christian Welch, I guess. Josh Papali'i could come back in, but even he was dropped from the Canberra Raiders. So, look, Queensland and the Raiders' form isn't too different at this point in time. What changes does Paul Green have to make for game 2? I put maybe, but I feel like he has to make some. Obviously, Ponga will come back into fullback, but what changes do you reckon Queensland have to make?
I'm actually not too sure, to be honest. I'm just trying to think of players that are eligible. Is there someone that could slot in well? Because I think they're just gonna. Because I was watching the highlights this morning, and Sterling mentioned that during Tommy's first try, he's like, yeah, a second rower up against a fullback, a makeshift centre who was originally a fullback. Like the difference in speed is pretty big. So they're just going to take advantage of that difference. So I don't know who could fit in for centre. Who could fit into centre there? I'm just trying to think.
Do you put a makeshift centre? Do you just do a Tommy Latrell? Sure. I know they don't have many options, but do you just put like a AJ Brimps in there or a? Look, they don't have many centers. I would say Brenko Lee, but he's still he's not coming back, and even he might have start for Melbourne. But God,
yeah, I don't see how the inclusion of Brenko Lee would change that scoreline. To be honest,
yeah, I know. I'm just trying to think because they got absolutely no one. Look, Ponga comes back. I think Felt gets dropped, and Home will go back to wing. You ain't getting rid of Gagai after one game. No. Xavier Coates, I can't think of anyone to really replace him. You're not changing the halves. Ben Hunt, why would you have AJ Brimson as a utility still, or would you bring in a Ben Hunt over him? Because I feel
you go first.
I was going to say, I feel like you need Ben Hunt. I would have picked him first. I would have actually picked Reid Marnie, but they let him go and he got injured, so he's gone now. But I would have had Ben Hunt because he can play so many. Do you put Ben Hunt at the centres? Because he's a good defensive player.
You could, I mean, he's pretty versatile. Like you've seen him play hooker for the Dragons as well, hooker for Queensland, I'm pretty sure, as well. He's a versatile player. Like people forget how good he can and still is. Like after that the Ben Hunt moment where he dropped the ball in the grand final. But he's a very good player. I don't know. Yeah, I'd have him him at center because he is pretty good defensively, and Brimson at utility still, and Holmes off to the wing for Felt because I don't know, Felt didn't really do anything, to be honest. Apart from getting a little push and shove at the end of the first half with Cameron Murray. So yeah, I like you. I don't know if you were saying this, but I think you said Holmes back to wing and then Hunt possibly to centre. I'd probably go that, and then Brimson on the bench.
I reckon Hunt at centre ain't a bad shout, to be honest. It just sort of came into my head, and you just need someone really to mark Tom at this point. Even though Tom, he really does float, but look, you just need someone to just limit him because I don't know what it is. He made Origin look like under 10s. And now we're back on Tom. I'm meant to be bashing Queensland. But obviously, we're talking about them getting rolled in the forwards. They get Papali'i and they get Welsh back. So I don't think you're going to make too many changes there. I think Tino will go to lock. I guess their bench when you compare it to Paulo, Haas, got Liam Munn. And when the bench came on, it sort of blew it out. So that could be another thing. Really, but we don't need to go into every problem for Queensland. But look, you can't win them all for Queensland. I've just thrown this in here, but I think we're going to have the same answer. Do Queensland have any chance of winning this Origin series?
Based on last night's performance, no. It's a poor showing. They didn't really show much. I know I've said that probably 1,000 times, but
they did.
Yeah, they just looked completely overwhelmed pretty much in every aspect of the last 70 minutes. Because the first 10 minutes, it was a very competitive game. And as soon as Welsh got off, they lost all momentum in the middle. Our momentum was just increased tenfold. We just built off the back of that, scoring tries for fun pretty much. But yeah, I think that game 2 will be a lot closer. I don't think it'll be as big as a blowout as this was last night. But I don't see Queensland having a chance really. And I mean, it's not like they have bad players. I think at the moment, the New South Wales team, the way they gelled last night, it was pretty impressive. And that'll give them a lot of confidence going into game 2. So yeah, I reckon it'll be a clean sweep for the Blues this year.
See, look, we're only younglings. We're 2019, and I've already seen this story too many times. I've already seen the New South Wales have the better team. The New South Wales, Queensland have no chance. And I've written it down, early game 2 predictions. Of course, I'm going to back the Blues because I'm not going to not tip the Blues every single Origin series. But the Suncorp, there's something about a Queensland ambush for me. So I cannot write them off the series just yet. But it's a big uphill battle to climb. Look, I can't disagree with you really. If New South Wales play like that, this will be a clean sweep. It might be the most dominant Origin series of all time. But there's still suspensions, injuries. Just quickly, final thoughts. Look, unfortunately, it wasn't too much for us to discuss. It was pretty much just a New South Wales, Queensland bashing sort of exercise this morning. Just pretty much warming up the vocals for the rest of the day. What are your final thoughts on State of Origin Game 1?
I mean, it's just a complete annihilation, really. It caught me off guard, to be honest. I did not expect it. I expected it to be a lot closer. I tipped the score to be 23-22 to the Blues, with Cleary getting the field goal in like the 75th, 77th minute or something like that. But all late game. Yeah, but you cannot complain, really. You love to see it. Up the Blues.
All right. Well, look, you just sort of brought something to my attention by mentioning the man with the greatest chin of just human history, Nathan Cleary. Now, he had a blinder last night. You could argue he's top 3. I don't think he's better than Turbo or Latrell, but he gives Turbo Latrell the space they needed. Yeah, look, preliminary final semis, they're not the grand final, they're not Origin decided, but they are big games. And, Origin Game 1, a lot of people were questioning him, like a lot of people did last year. He's come out again. Honestly, I just need this for an Instagram clip. But do you think Nathan Cleary has proven he's a big game player?
Yeah, I think he has. Like, he kind of went missing in the grand final last year, and he has been known or labelled to go missing in big games in his career. I mean, he's only young. He's what, 23, 24.
Yeah.
Like, halfbacks usually go in their prime in the 27, like 27, 28 area.
30, really, nowadays.
Yeah. But yeah, I think, yeah, he's starting to prove himself as a big game player. Because in Origin, he's usually not been the best on field. Like, he's had decent games here and there, but last night he just controlled the game really. Like, his kicking game, his passing game just gave the space for all the rest of the Blues players to just completely dominate the Queensland team. And as well, Luai, like that partnership, it definitely transferred. Like, they was both very, very impressive last night. So yeah, I'd say he's proven himself. But we have to wait and see if he can do it in the finals.
Well, look, yeah, I don't want to get too ahead of myself. Well, because I've seen the story too many times. But I'm going to ask you another question. If Luai and Cleary can keep up this Penrith form and, take Penrith to a premiership as well as win the rest of this series, dominate it like they played last. Don't have to dominate it, but play like they did last night. And everyone's talking about Munster. He's the bloody, no doubt, top 2 player in the world. DCE is the Australian vice captain. Would they not only overtake them as like just players, but would they be the Australian halves of that World Cup, like at the end of this year?
I mean, I love DCE. If you want to win games, sometimes you have to stray away from loyalty and just go with the player who's playing better. And I think Cleary is playing better than DC at the moment. It's hard to say because I love DCE as a Manly fan. He's one of my favorite players. Probably one of my favorite players of all time. I'd say he's pushing DCE out for Australian halfback, but doesn't mean he couldn't be used. I mean,
well, the thing is, they'll take a squad of 30 and play like, I'm not going to say losers because you're in the bloody Australian team, but you're not as good players against
players.
But they usually do play their lesser good players against Fiji, Lebanon, and teams like that. But that'll wrap up once again. Thank you for tuning into our New South Wales praising, Queensland bashing, turbo sucking off exercise on this fine morning. Guys, he doesn't post anything footy, but if you want to go follow Henry on Instagram, you may as well do it. You'll probably see him in the future a couple hundred times. He might have, some say he's the biggest cock of all time. I'm not going to dispute that. But thanks so much for watching, guys. Final thoughts?
I don't know. Final thoughts. Thanks for having me, Paddy G. I also shout out to the 19th man. It takes some balls to rebrand yourself, but he's gone and done it, and it's a bright future ahead of him. Paddy G for $1 million.
Paddy G for president.
19th man for $1 million. Sorry, but I just call him Paddy G, so that's why
you're different.
I get confused.
The voice gets different. I mean, look, Paddy G's still here, so don't worry. But guys, like I'm gonna ask you to do every time because I'm not going to. Like the video, subscribe, follow us on Instagram. It's all free and it would really much appreciate it. By the way, we're going to the Manly game tomorrow night, and I said it on the Tippy video yesterday. If you want to come along, just send us a DM on Instagram and I'll meet ya. But thanks for watching this Origin 1 review. Just comment below. Just pretty much answer this question for us. Is Tommy Turbo the best player in the world right now? Hezza still thinks it's Cleary. I think it's just the chin that's clouding his
vision. At the moment. Tommy's definitely pushing for it. I reckon at the moment, Cleary is, but at the end of the year, I reckon Tommy will be the best in the world.
When you have to continue to back up your argument, you know your boss. But thanks for watching, guys. Go the Blues. We'll see if Queensland can respond in game 2. I'll always have a preview and all that stuff. Look, you'll see me before then. Origin's a while away, but enjoy the club footy. Hopefully, Manly get up 13+ and DCE can respond. Like, subscribe, and all that good stuff.